Hey everyone, today is day 54 of 365 days of my raw suspending disbelief journey. It is June 15th, 2024, and I'm doing this one a little bit early. I have some catch up to do. I'm a few days behind in posting um, these episodes, even though I have still been recording them every day. So today, what I wanted to just bring the attention to was that I've been noticing more and more lately, when I pull tarot and oracle cards, that I am seeing different parts, noticing or like resonating with different parts of the messages that they have, than what I used to. So, what I mean by this is that, um, there were certain parts of, like, if I were to read the guidebooks that come with them, there were certain parts that would resonate really highly with me before, and now they are just not the parts that resonate. So there's what I'm noticing is, um I'll share an example. I was just looking at the card from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. um it's called the Dragon's Hoard, and it talks about someone's like shooting off fireworks. Sorry if you guys can pick up on those noises. Um, but it talks about protecting the future and choosing the abundance that we really desire and not taking things that aren't meant for us, and all of these things. And I've looked at it like this many times in the past, and one of the parts that it talks about is um finding things that were missed by others on the path. And it's almost like I had been taking it with a feeling of like, don't shoot too far, don't take too much, don't be too, it's like that don't shine too bright kind of energy, right? And I was taking this like, oh, you're like picking up the leftovers that people left behind, almost kind of an energy from it. And I had never put that into words, but that is just kind of how I've read it in the past. That And it wasn't in a negative way. It wasn't like, it, I was only worth that or something, or at least that wasn't how I thought of it, but maybe subconsciously these things were coming in, right? Anyways, um, today I glanced at the guidebook after, like, I mostly get my own messages about the cards now, and I don't read the guidebooks as much. But I usually will like skim through it and just see if anything stands out. And today I was reading it, and I've read all of these words before. Okay. So again, it's a matter of like what's resonating, what's standing out to me now versus what has stood out before. And it can change from day to day, but also it's like I'm noticing that it is a more all-encompassing change as well. So it's like, my general energy over a span of time is just different. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. Anyways, what this one says is Dragon's Hoard, protecting the future, legacy, true riches. And instead of the focus on like not taking what's not part of what I've earned or what's meant for me, what's really standing out to me this time is the legacy piece. And it made me realize just that word, right? Legacy was what it made me realize is that my energy right now is not about the day-to-day, moment-to-moment um wins and goals and finances and challenges and all of the things. It is a bigger picture view. It's a um it's more about leaving that legacy, actually making the impact in the world that people can see, that is visible, not just the energetic impact in individuals' lives. And not that I don't love making that impact, but on a bigger scale now. And the word legacy just really stood out to me there, where it was just like, you are doing something that is leaving a legacy. And it also stood out to me in the financial aspect of it, that I will have a legacy to leave financially for my, what do you call it, progeny, like your children, your grandchildren, whatever. I want to be able to leave that for them. And I will say that in the past, if I have ever said that I wanted to do that, it felt very empty, like empty promises. Like I couldn't, it was going to be something that I wasn't going to be capable of creating or providing. Although again, I had not had those thoughts actually come into my head. I had not like thought through that and been like, no, I'm not good enough for that. But I had never really resonated with that. Where today it was like, that was the part that resonated, was that legacy piece of change in the world, and of having so much overflow that I can leave a legacy behind me financially for my children and my children's children and so on. So, why I wanted to point this out, and this was just the one example. I'm noticing it as a trend, right? So, there's always like good and bad days, and more pleasant and less pleasant messages from the cards and things like this, or from your guides through the cards, right? But I'm noticing it as a general trend where things were a certain way and now they're very different. And I really have to attribute that to this suspending disbelief movement, to this challenge that I've put myself to, because first of all, I'm choosing to feel the way that I'm feeling, right? I am being more intentional and actively creating what I desire in my life. And what I desire was not that like crappy low level self-esteem stuff from before. It is that it's a non-option. What I desire is non-optional legacy type growth. I want it to be massive, and I want it to be massive not because I want power or the spotlight or what, like even just the money. What I want it for is because I know that that will create these massive changes in the world, and because then I can provide this brighter future for the future generations. So, yeah, just the intentionality of this movement, of this challenge is massive, right? It is the trust that we're always exactly where we're meant to be, but it's also the choice that I'm making, or that we're making every single time we make a decision, the lens that we make our choices through, right? What we're choosing to believe, what we're choosing to act on, what we are choosing to follow. And seriously, with these fireworks, you guys, they startle the crap out of me. um yeah, just all of the things, right? So the shift into trusting myself, the shift into total belief, um, and or suspending disbelief, right? Suspending disbelief is so catchy, but really what it comes down to is having this full belief, like there's no room for doubt, right? So um, just knowing that I'm going to create that no matter what, that it is happening, that my success is inevitable, and that I'm always exactly where I'm meant to be, and all of these pieces. This repetition, for one, I haven't repeated it in a sense of like, I don't fully believe this without acknowledging it, right? So I have only been saying that I believe it fully if I believe it fully. So it's not an affirmation that I'm not behind, right? It's something that I'm like, no, absolutely. This is fact. This is true. This is how I feel. And having it become such a consistent thing that I am actively reflecting every single night on my day, and that I am actively choosing how I want to feel every day, all day, throughout the day, that I am shifting what I'm doing and what I'm allowing and what I'm choosing based on how I want to feel, right? And on knowing that I'm going to create what I want. So, what am I going to allow into my life? Because if it's not part of what I'm creating, then it doesn't need to be there. And if it is not supportive of what I'm creating, then it doesn't need to be there, and so on. So, just that power of making that choice consistently, and consistently for, more than a week, more than a few days, more than a month, right? Like that, the thing for me, and I know for a lot of people, is that we have all the best intentions and then we usually fall off, right? We start out strong and then we fall off in the consistency. It's like, oh, this new habit that I want to build, and then we don't quite last long enough to make it be an ingrained thing. And I think the power of um, the way that I started out this movement, right, was that I didn't just keep it to myself and say, okay, once I master this, I'll start sharing it with other people. It was like, nope, I'm sharing it now. So the day that I listened to Catherine Zankina's episode that spurred me to create this, I reached out to more than one person and was like, I'm challenging you to do this with me. People whose names came to my mind, right? Um, I'm really happy to say that those ladies are still actively doing this with me. So super, super proud of them, of you, if you're the one listening. Um, I think that it is absolutely incredible to have someone randomly reach out to you and be like, hey, this just happened. I just listened to this thing and now I'm going to challenge you to do this. And then just be like, yeah, okay, I'm in. That takes a lot of trust, a lot of faith, and courage. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And I am loving watching the shifts that are happening for the people who are actively doing this. So, okay, wrapping all that up. Yeah, it was, I mean, first I went ahead and I reached out to these people. And then second, I created this podcast that anybody could listen to, right? And I said from day one that I was going to do this for 365 days. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, it's a lot easier to back out of something that I only promised to myself than it is to back out of something that I promised to other people. So, having said that I would do this, I will do this, right? And it just has me being so much more consistent for a longer stretch than I've ever been with something, I think, ever. And so the fact that the changes and the shifts are phenomenal and huge and so powerful makes perfect sense, because when we are consistently energetically behind something, we are manifesting it actively and intentionally, right? This is incredible levels of manifestation, deliberate manifestation, and um, just self-worth, self-trust, the embodiment, like all the pieces, they're just all coming together so, so powerfully. Um, and that really cannot be attributed to anything else other than the mindfulness of reflecting back every night and the consistency of choosing these things all day, every day. Um, Suspending disbelief all day, every day, and just really throwing myself full mind, body, soul into this challenge and into this movement, because I know that it can make a difference. I know that it can change lives. And I am loving how much it's changing my life. And I am loving hearing about how it's changing other women's lives as well, other people's lives. I don't by any stretch think that this is just a thing for women. So anyway, I'm just so used to saying women in my world, and my audience are usually women. So um, thank you all for being here, for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.